Since we are taking a look at Europe, I thought it might be worth taking a look at what's happening within UK, right? Since UK decided to, for the time being, departure. And I thought it might be worth taking a look at what's happening within UK and some of those national broadcasting channels within UK. And let's try to understand a little bit more about sourcing of finance, right? Since we're on the topic, perhaps it's very normal, I guess, right? So some of those channels will be subsidized by the government, right? Partly, and finance would need to come from where the rest of the finance would come from. Would that be coming from special interest businesses? First of all, I don't know. I don't know. Perhaps that would be prefaces for what I'm going to be covering within this video, right? Would that be from people who are actually watching, which is kind of great, right? It's coming from people. So the channel would broadcast information on what people like to watch, sports, for example, right? Good, right? It would some information would come from businesses, right? So sponsor ads, right? Would some of the finance would come from government, right? Okay, perhaps 80% might come from government based on what I find with Europe, right? This is how they would like perhaps structure that. Once that been said, let's take a look at BBC, right? So and what's happening within the UK. This article was published last week, Thursday. So very recent one, right? And there might be a lot of things happening within UK. I haven't read it myself. I'm reading it for the first time, but I have read it about the fee. So perhaps the way how the funds would be sourced. Well, if you would ask me, I already know. I already know everything. So some of those companies are looking to grow, right? While they're looking to grow, they're looking for more additional resources so they can grow. Every business should look for ways how they can source finance and grow, right? Perhaps if there's a lot of pain for a lot of businesses where they could be looking for better ways of delivering some of the content and everything. So there's so many ways how many businesses out there can redefine themselves with the finance available. But to do that, I don't know. I don't know. Perhaps that might be a case, right? But again, so if someone's interested, perhaps there might be different opportunities where UK as a government can set up opportunity, right? So there would be a competition, right? Would be launched by 10 different projects. 10 different entrepreneurs can enter this competition, and perhaps better ways of funding that's been currently allocated to this channel can be allocated to 10 different projects. Even that, 10 different projects instead of having one. Even better, right? And then people can choose over a period of 1 year or 2 years which of those 10 projects would be most promising, right? And a lot of people might see changes, right? And the way how some of those funding be allocated, and instead of reinventing some of those channels all the time, it might even deliver better experience for a lot of people watching. But again, that's how I would do it, right? Okay, this article is BBC license fee review launch as action to take to ease rises, right? BBC license fee review launch as action to take ease further price rises. Okay, so currencies, a lot of currencies in the world are losing its value. Since currency is losing its value, we need to be sort of, they need more of those currencies, right? Sometimes the loss of value of the currency can be halved, if that makes sense. So if they need to deliver the same results with a half worth of the currency. So this is where the people might find themselves, right? Increasing in prices and trying to rationalize for many people out there why they would increase prices. Let's start with perhaps bullet points, right? And what this article is going to be about. Review launch into the future of the license fee and alternative funding options, supported by the panel of leading industry experts. Okay, so there's going to be a review. I don't know about that. So about who are those experts and how many of those, right? And would be internal, external experts. Who are we talking about, right? Next bullet point that comes as a government intervenes to minimize increase to the cost of the TV license fee for households, since perhaps they're looking to solve or source some of the funding coming from TV license on the way how they monetize some of the services. I guess. Next one would be next year's license fee will be 20 pounds cheaper than it will have been that the government not acted. It makes no sense. This point makes no sense. First of all, why would that, if there is a business, why government needs to intervene into that business, if that makes sense? Why government needs to get involved? That's a business, right? Let that business to go under. Let that business to go under. New businesses, new people up there. Currently within UK, there's thousands of people who want to do similar things, right? Thousands of people. If government will intervene and prevent, basically those people, new people won't be able to deliver anything, right? Other than government is actually subsidizing all those unperforming businesses. Perhaps worth mentioning, right? If at any point, if I'm going to be looking for finance for any of my ventures, and if government is looking to offer support, I would consider that support. I will definitely consider that one. Okay, once that been said, next point would be the article. Let's start with the article. A review into the BBC should be funded in the future has been launched by Cultures. Okay, let's keep a note of that. The Secretary as a new action to take reduce the impact of the price rise on the license fee payers. I don't know. Let's take a look at even some of those areas as a property, right? So how much property currently some of those news channels holding, right? So perhaps we don't need to have access to some of those properties. Here we go. We can save some money there. Why people would need properties, right? Even right now within the U.S., how many properties, commercial properties, been vacant? About 30%, or perhaps 25%. Commercial properties been vacant, right? And we're talking about some of those locations in the city centers, right? So perhaps that would be the way how we are looking to reduce some of the access to some of those properties, commercial properties that since the government is taking action, right? That would be a way how they can reduce the cost of operating some of those channels, right? I'm considering sharing all that information, but just in case some of you might be interested in reading it. I think it's just I don't know. So there's a government who are looking to subsidize some of those media channels, right? We have taken a look at Europe, right? Europe is 80%. Okay, good, 80%, and now UK looking to ways of improve how effective some of those media channels can be, and perhaps in some of the investments made, right, as a government, some of those investments. So what we're looking at 80%, right, subsidies, and another 20 coming from perhaps, if we're following European example, that would be 20 coming from perhaps license fee. So this is what's perhaps really happening. That's what I'm trying to understand, not what information is available out there, right, for rest of the people, right? So perhaps I would say property. So that would be one of the ways how they can reduce some operating costs. So that would be perhaps outsourcing the property and not do not rent or have access to some of those properties in the city centers. If this is what they are sharing, right? But I don't know. I don't know. If I would write down the contract, I would say there is similar ways how I would present a lot of information to many people who I would perhaps try to taking a look at the price and make sense of the price. That's exactly the way how I would present that information, right? And we're talking about subsidies or perhaps long-term relationship when it comes to buying, selling, or doing business with some of those potential suppliers up there. That's exactly how I would present that information, which is the part of doing business, I guess, in the world. Well, okay, the decision will ensure that additional cost to license fee payers is kept as low as possible. This statement means nothing. While giving the BBC over 3.8 billion in annual license fee funding to spend on world's leading content and deliver the 3.9 billion. This is how much funding we're receiving, 3.9 billion. Do you know how much things you can do with that? we have taken a look at Europe, right, and how much Europe is operating with, right? I don't know. It's tax money I'm talking about, right? 3.8 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't know. How many people can you hire with that, right? And or cameras. Okay, can you invest some of that money in cameras? I don't know where they're spending that money. I don't know. But this is what's happening within IKEA. What it might be worth taking a look at, and some of those examples, right? I would do it completely different. If it was up to me, I would do it completely different. But this is what's happening. There might be something I haven't taken part in the past, and this is what's happening within some of those governments, right? And it might be worth taking a look at it. Well, I'm taking a look. I don't know what's the number of staff they're operating with. 700 people. Uh, they need to wear nice clothes to live in somewhere in the city center, places like London. I don't know. Operating cost is way over the top. So that's my whole overview of everything what's happening. But perhaps it's over time it becomes normal, right? That's an operating cost, and they definitely need that number of people and people interested in everything what's happening, and they might want to take a look at some of those niche channels and how much of that control might have, right? Instead of having 20, they might as well control one channel, right? Why would they consider having 20 of different channels, 20 different groups, right? That perhaps would be better for people watching those channels, but not necessarily for people who look in control. So if you look in control, it's better control one instead of looking at different content available out there online, and it would be 20 choices to choose from, right? Perhaps that's worth taking a look at. Yourself, if you're interested in learning more, I have published a book, Ink Flow. Within this book, I'm taking a look at some of those areas. So that would be very important for many people looking to establish a habit. Everyone would start most likely with a feeling, and from feeling you want that you would like to do more, experience more, and or perhaps tackle some of the things within your life, right? That might require a lot of time. So everyone starts with a feeling. From feeling you wanna work or towards developing something that would last. That would be a habit, right? And to develop one, you would need to continue the process for roughly 70 days. Within this journal would be 90 days, right? So 90 days should be enough to develop a habit. Within the habit, I'm taking a look at 24-hour window and how you can optimize that time. That would be every page would be a window, and within every window, some of those areas we're taking a look at and or improving for many people. Start with those and progress from there. You can find it QR code in the corner, components website below. Uh, just to finishing this article with this announcement follows up additional 20 million, 20 million. The government's award to BBC World Service earlier this year as a part of the refresh of the integrated review of the money, which is on top of 94 million provided annually, was to protect all 42 World Series languages services over the next 2 years. So this is how much it costs for 2 years. Protect those languages. 94 million. I don't know. Perhaps it's important. I don't know. I don't know. It's very hard to understand, right, where that money is going for. I don't know. So they have a lot of people. Perhaps they have hired a lot of writers, producers. I don't know. Perhaps that's where the money is going. I don't know. I'm taking a look at perhaps real estate and or commercial property. Perhaps they can reduce some of the operating costs there. I don't know if people need jobs. Perhaps leave those people what they are doing. Perhaps they can operating costs where they can reduce those. So that's what I'm saying. 42. I don't know. Perhaps it's worth taking a look at some of those areas where they can reduce some of the operating costs. Right. Then it comes to script writing and or copyright. Right. Or as well as how they structure some of those organizations. I think that myself looking from entrepreneurial business perspective, right? And if anything, I think there should be more opportunities for new people to come into the market, right? And perhaps not government necessarily stepping in into subsidize old players. I don't know if that makes sense. It should be open doors for another 10 or 20 different projects. Come in and perhaps do better work with some of those finances. That's what I'm saying. 20 projects would perhaps 1 million each out of 94 million, and of a period of perhaps 2 years, they could do better when it comes to operating costs. And I can tell you right now, when it comes to operating costs, they're not necessarily those projects, new ones, would not necessarily consider real estate or commercial property with city centers, or the that's a lot of perhaps where that money is going. But either way, so much money. I don't know. Yeah, thanks for watching. See you next one.